Good evening, my fellow Amberlanders. I salute you in the name of our detained comrades. I greet you all from the depth of my heart and on behalf of the bravery of the 8 million Ambazonian people. I salute your courage, your tenacity, your resilience in the face of overwhelming challenges. You are, as I have said previously, the bravest of our time, the battle-scarred, and a generation that has decided never again to bequeath to the next a land under captivity. I would like all of us, patriot volunteers and soldiers of this revolution, to observe a minute of silence in remembrance of those who've left us, thinking about those whose liberty has been taken away. Thank you very much, and good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are tuning. I am grateful to be your servant, and I'll remain such until Amberland is going to be free. I greet the brave people of Kwakwa for their tenacity. We are here today because you have fought on the streets. You've moved this revolution to the next phase. Your tenacity, your sacrifices, and all what you've done in Kwakwa has given all of us hope that one day Ambazonia will be free. I thank you all, the brave people of Bello, for the indomitable spirit you have shown in the last weeks, for the tenacity, for the resilience, and for the combative attitude. You humbled the occupier on the same spot on which others buckled and surrendered. I thank you, the brave people of Manyu. You have been fighting street battles for the past few months. You have shown Ambazonia that it begins with the first shot and that you are going to withstand helicopter gunships. You are going to fight like the brave people of Manyu until the day you humble the occupier out of our homeland. You are a symbol of resilience, and your tenacity is something that we are going to copy across the 13 counties of Ambazonia. I thank you all, the people of Mezam County, for the bravery. Yesterday was a day where gunshots were ringing all over Bamenda. I thank you all, the brave taxi drivers of Mezam, the bike riders that have suffered humiliation. In the past few weeks, Cameroon security operatives have seized over 5,000 bikes within Mezam County alone. If you ever counted on the regime for protection, if you ever counted on the government of Cameroon to guarantee your rights and your dignity, you should know it will never happen. So I call upon you, the bike riders of Mezam County, to rise up and join the resistance and run the occupier off our street, run the occupiers off our neighborhoods and our blocks, so that we may, in the nearest future, install a democratic system within which you can exercise your right for free speech and conscience. Thank you, people. I thank you all, the brave people of Momo County, for standing up against one of the bravest institutions of the occupation. You dared them. You showed them your bravery from Batibo right up to Mbengwe. I thank you all, the people of Konye, of Mbonge, Moyoka. I thank you, the brave fighters of Boya of Mutengene. You've made us whole again. You've given us hope. Your bravery, your sacrifices has made every Ambazonian across the world to believe again in something we have never had, a homeland of our own. It is not because of me. It is not because of all those who sit on social media. It is not because of the long speeches and resolutions that we make. It is because of you. You have the battle scars to show for. And I can assure you that Ambazonia will be free. It is going to be free because in the past 12 months, despite all the odds, despite the difficulties, you have been fighting on the same spot on which BBC Mancho was kidnapped, on the same spot from where Tatingu lost his liberty, Numbi Waters lost his liberty. You have not given up. It is you. And you will go down in the history books of Ambazonia as those who made it happen. We are proud of your tenacity, your resilience, and your steadfastness. And I give you 21-gun salute for that. The weeks ahead will be difficult, extremely difficult. I know Cameroon is prepared, but I want to let Cameroon know Ambazonia is the land of our birth. We will not lose it. We will not surrender there. And we will fight to the last man to ensure that the last Cameroon fugitive soldier is taken out of Ambaland. That Ambazonia will be restored back to the rightful owners of that country, within which we can succeed and fail as a people, within which we can imbue our own values and our own customs and norms, within which we can build an educational system and a legal system that reflects our contextual realities, within which we can develop the economic capabilities and capacities to compete with the global economy and give hope to the last Ambazonian standing. We're standing as a people. We will walk together. Those who cannot run, those who are cripples, we will move together step by step, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, rooftop by rooftop, to defend every inch of our motherland, to make sure it is given back to the rightful owners of that country. Apache helicopters, helicopter gunships, Tomahawk cruise missiles will not stop us, because we hope in something bigger than ourselves. And we will, for ourselves and generation yet unborn, be proud to say we stood up at a time when everyone thought it was impossible to restore back our dignity, our peoplehood, and a country of ourselves. I have a message to the international community. For more than 60 years, you've conspired against Ambazonia. If we imagine the amount of energy that the United Kingdom invested in getting for Hong Kong an autonomy within China, a Hong Kong that was far poorer than Ambazonia, a Hong Kong that was not even a trust territory. If we imagine the amount of investment that Britain put to secure this status for Hong Kong, and we imagine what it did for Ambazonia, we can only say it was an international conspiracy. We watched in the last few weeks, thousands of people moved out of the streets of Iran, and within a few hours, the United Nations Security Council was having a meeting. Yet, thousands of our people have been killed. The leadership abducted, deported to a place we do not even know. The United Nations has issued a belated statement. It failed them. Refugees that were supposed to be under the protection of the UNHCR were kidnapped and deported to a country where torture is systematic, fair trial is absent, Inhumanity prevails in detention centers. The United Nations failed us again as they failed us in 1961. The African Union is yet to say a word. Major international institutions are dead silent on our plight, on the banality of evil that exists in Ambazonia, the callous loss of life, systematic impunity, torture, extrajudicial executions, point-blank killings, the amassment of a mass military within Ambazonia has not gotten the international community to talk on our behalf. Where is their preventive diplomacy? Where is their responsibility to protect? But I have a message for you. For 60 years you betrayed us. You conspired against us. You provided Cameroon with the money, the legitimacy to occupy our homeland. We showed you through our bravery on the street, through our tenacity, that economic deprivation, social exclusion, political exclusion could not stop us from fighting for a land of our birth. You conspired against Ambazonia for so long that you thought we've lost our identity. This generation is the generation that is going to rise up from all the angles of Ambazonia to make sure we defeat Cameroon from Ambazonia, to make sure we shame the utter silence of Britain, the utter silence of the United Nations, the utter silence of the international community. That at this particular moment, when our people are being killed, we still understand the United States has provided heat-seeking drones to Cameroon to track down the people fighting against the occupation. I have asked the State Department of the Ambazonian Governing Council to send a strong message to the United States that they are not allowed to provide weapons to Cameroon that will be used against Ambazonia to commit genocide. At this particular moment, we expect the United States to speak out loud and clear against the use of helicopter gunships on unarmed civilians, and to stop immediately with the provision of war materials to Cameroon because of the absence of checks and balances, the respect of human rights, and the protection of human dignity. I'd like the international community to know that this is our time, this is our country, and we will fight until our death to make sure Ambazonia becomes the 56th state within the continent of Africa, a free homeland for our people, where we can live in peace and practice all the virtues and norms and customs that make us a people. My fellow countrymen and women, the past few weeks have been trying. The past few weeks have been tempting. We have observed that 4 weeks ago, Comrade Siseko Ayuk, Comrade Tasang, and the others were abducted under circumstances that are not particularly clear. I have listened to a lot of audios. I have followed video clips. I've listened to all sorts of analysis. Ambazonians, there is something about justice and transparency that has escaped us because of colonialism. I know we already found culprits. We already know who betrayed Comrade Ayuk and others. But that is our simple exit. It is very simplistic. I believe in justice. I believe in fairness. I believe in the right to defend yourself. That is why I have never bought the argument and the belief that we have found a traitor. Because that is very simple. That is a simple exit we can take, and we will never know the truth. Knowing the truth is not about prosecution. We don't have a court. We don't have jails to take anybody to find them guilty and put them in prison. Knowing the truth is about healing for the families and for our collective consciousness. Knowing the truth is going to set us free, making sure we never make the same mistakes again going forward. A lot is going on, and I know Ambazonians are anxious. I know Ambazonians are curious. They want to know where our comrades are. I know we've written so many theories about what happened to them. Some say that they've been kidnapped and they are engaged in secret negotiations. Some say they are in underground cells in Abuja. Others say they are in Yaoundé. Those are all postulations. Guesswork at best, predictions at its worst. That is why, in the past few days, I have reached out, as I did when Comrade Ayuk was kidnapped. I reached out to his block. I called Comrade Milton, and I told him the AGC and others are available to help. I told him that. And when I have gotten intelligence, I've communicated it to them. In the past 3 days, I called Professor Carson Anyangwe because I am worried, extremely worried, that the superficial way with which we handle deep-rooted crisis is not going to only haunt this generation, but it has the potential of haunting this revolution. I did speak with Carson Anyangwe, and I have spoken with Comrade Bo Halbert on the same premise. In the past few moments, I have also called Baramak. I've spoken to him about a couple of ideas. Ambazonians, we need an independent commission to investigate what has happened to our comrades. As I have said, it is not about finding anyone guilty. We don't have a court of law. Probably the court of public opinion has already made its verdict. We will set up an independent commission that will be composed of representatives of every movement and civil society, to be headed by 2 independent experts. This commission will be charged to uncovering what has happened. It is going to, for example, speak to the wife of Comrade Seseko, the wife of Comrade Tassan, family members of all those who have been kidnapped, for us to know what they know. This commission is going to reach out to everybody who had an idea about the meeting in Abuja. We are going to speak to people who have been involved so that we can start to build the framework that we can use to analyze what probably has happened. Ambazonians, as I have said, it is good for healing. It is good for the liberation of our consciences. All the postulations about agents, about moles, are good for public consumption. They are good as opinions. I know us Ambazonians, everybody has an opinion. And they conflate their opinions for facts. That's why we never find the truth. By establishing the truth and the facts, we will be able to make judgments and decisions based on those facts, which I think will be immutable. So I am expecting to work in the coming days to make sure that we erect this commission, which is going to be independent and which is going to be impartial to establish what has happened. And thereafter, we will be able to know where our comrades, what happened to them, and what we can do. These are certain realities we must know. Because we do not know exactly where they are. Even if we try to establish court proceedings, we wouldn't know the jurisdictions within which to operate. I know lawyers are working on this, and they can't exhaust domestic remedies within Nigeria or Cameroon and then jump jurisdiction to, let's say, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights or the Human Rights Committee that can impose interim measures on a range of issues. For example, protection of their human dignity, protection from deportation to a country that violates the basic principle of non-refoulement. So there is a lot that is not being done because we do not understand what has happened. We don't have the facts. We're dealing with hearsays, gossips, and a lot of conjectures. So such a commission will be very critical for our revolution. Also to help us establish how we got here. As I have said repeatedly, if we do not stop and reflect, we are going to find ourselves in a deep shit in the coming months ahead. It was also a tragic situation that after the kidnapping and abduction of our comrades, it was unprecedented that we were looking so fast how to replace them. So, an entire cabinet is abducted, and the first process you expect that government to do was to reach out to everyone and let's build a national crisis commission so all of us can put our heads together as a people, keep our differences aside even for 2 weeks, work together facing national tragedies. No, we were on the run to make a replacement because it was very important for political dominance. We showed ourselves as incompetent, not prepared, incapable of dealing with a simple crisis that have rocked our country. We came across as amateurish, naive, and this has its building blocks on the premise of how we came to forming an interim government. That is why we have said repeatedly, we must get it right. If you want freedom tomorrow, start demanding it today. If you want transparency tomorrow, begin to demand it today. If you want justice tomorrow, begin today asking for it. And I will call upon all of you to understand that we live under a colonial system where we could not speak. And we've been given the opportunity now through social media to speak. Let us know there are the positive and negatives about the tantrums, about the politicking, about the opinions and that we dish out there. It is going to engulf us so we cannot find the truth in the midst of all this talking and shouting. I remember in the past few months when all of us spoke with one voice as a people, facing a collective challenge. We dared the occupier. We showed them we were together, even though we had differences. Fellow Ambazonians, there is no smoke without fire. There are people within this revolution who are toxic, extremely toxic. They have the zero-sum game approach. The winner takes it all. They built their empire on manipulation. They built their foundation on deceit. They've built in on denigration of other leaders. They've built in on destruction of the truth, building a subjective narrative that is coming to haunt us today. Lest we forget when we talk about Comrade Ayuk, that this is a gentleman that for a few months ago was the head of his family, was a husband, a father, a wonderful employee. And in less than 12 months, we use this foundation of manipulation to put him in a position where at this particular moment he lost his liberty and we do not know about his life. And we talk about it in social media, not understanding the impact it has on his family. Ambazonians, think again. I want you to think again seriously about the things you do today, the records you keep today, and how you want yourself to be remembered tomorrow. Remember, these people have families who are going through pain. We create audios, video messages. We talk about them as though, you know, they don't have families. And within a short while, if your leader is arrested, if he was a servant, turn him into a king. Elevate him into a king. But immediately they were picked up, hurriedly tried to stitch together to replace them. You can replace a government that was running social services, national security, the economic system. You don't just replace institutions that were not running these things on a daily basis. We showed ourselves as incapable, immature, and that is detrimental to our liberation. But I want to let Ambazonians know that within this chaotic setup, we still have men and women with the calmness and fortitude to navigate through this chaos and emerge to finding a collective consensus building approach that can move all of us together at the same time. That is why we are Ambazonians. That is why we are brave. That is why we have survived colonialism for more than 60 years. My fellow citizens, brave patriot volunteers, I know all rumors have been out that I was invited to the whatsoever meeting I do not understand in Abuja. I usually do not have the luxury all the time to come to you to explain myself. I know from my activities and from the facts of what we do that history will write it well. I wasn't invited. I never even knew there was a meeting. I was out for another mission for Ambazonia. It was not by my powers. I think it was just good luck that I am here, maybe for a reason. So all of us can continue this battle. And we should do it with the greatest intensity, with the ferocity, with the bravery that we have demonstrated in the past few weeks. Something else I'd like to say. I know in the past few moments, a couple of people have sat together to stitch again something they wanna come impose on us. Let me send a message. Let me send a message to the ANUs. It will not work. It has not worked before. This is our revolution. This is our revolution. I call on Ambazonians who still have their credit card within the interim government's website to pull it out because the regime has it. Put your money, invest in the defense of your homeland. Baramak has just done a good job out there mobilizing funds for the defense of the homeland. I saw Abu Free was doing the same. I call upon all the social media warriors, those who've given this revolution the spirit, the tenacity, the bravery, the composure to take it from one stage to the other, to come out and mobilize funds as Baramak has done today, to make sure we arm ourselves to the teeth to defend our block, our neighborhood, our villages, and our hamlets. This is the time for everyone to come together and build a transition body, an interim body that is going to prosecute this revolution in the defensive approach. That is why I call upon you. I know a couple of persons are out there singing songs about the reboot in Washington, that we are meeting to set up an alternative government. You know, you've tried to bury the truth for a long time. You've tried to use manipulations and deceit to confuse the ordinary Ambazonian. You've tried to make it impossible for others to speak. You've tried to deny the ordinary Ambazonian the possibility of political association. You've used the zero-sum game approach to think you have a mandate to speak for Ambazonians and others do not have it. Remember this. Biya couldn't stop us. La République that was armed to the teeth couldn't stop us. Not you can stop the Ambazonian people from meeting and discussing the plight of our people, taking this struggle one block ahead. That is why we will meet in Washington in the reboot, to talk as a people. And I have made sure we invite somebody like Barrister Bob Gar, Comrade Tabenyang of the Ayuk camp to come. Let's sit together, talk together, work together, find a way of collaborating. Even if we do not agree, let's find a way of collaborating. That is why in the past few days, I made a call to Sofoncha, talk to others, to make sure at the defense level, even if we do not agree, we cannot work together, we can collaborate. All these toxic individuals who think they can use their monopoly and deceit to manipulate Ambazonians, we've got to stop them. You've got to rise up, defeat them, reject them, because the kind of country we want to build is the one where you can speak. You should be heard. You should be able to collaborate, even when you don't agree. You should be able to talk to one another. You should be able to work as brothers and sisters for the greater good. Not the one where you want to assassinate other leaders. You want to destroy their integrity, their credibility. You've got nothing to gain. For 12 months, they tried to bring us down. They tried to put us down. They threw everything on us. It has not worked, my people, because we build a foundation on the truth, and it's going to set us free. Ambazonians, this is our revolution. And let Cameroon know, we are going to fight them from every angle. I have read somewhere they've put a bounty on my head, 1.5 billion CFR. I never knew I was that cheap. Let Mr. Biya understand, I am ready. As I have said, I've written my will and I've written my epitaph. I am going to fight while standing. The day I drop, I know I have done my part. And I know you have done the same. You are still talking because, not because you think you cannot die, but because you know Ambazonia belongs to you. You are still fighting, not because you are not afraid. It's because you know Ambazonia belongs to you. The brave men and women across our entire territory who have been tortured, who have been murdered, even in jail, they are still fighting. The Mancho BBCs are defying their court system. The Tatingus are fighting in jail. The Celestines are fighting. And we as a people will not surrender until we evacuate Cameroon from our land. And I call upon you all over the world, those who are in the diaspora, from Abu Dhabi, the UAE, South Korea, United States of America, Europe, the people of Finland, Belgium, Berlin, Oldenburg, Houston, Texas, Washington, come together as one people to write the last chapter of your own story. It is the Ambazonian story. It will not be dictated again by any other colonial system. This is the land of our birth. It is ours. It belongs to you. You have to fight, Ambazonians. You have to rise up, Ambazonians. Stand up from your neighborhood like brave patriot volunteers. Every morning, make sure you let Cameroon know Ambazonia is our last refuge. Ambazonia is our last place. We will not, as a people, we will not, as a generation, bequeath to the next something worse than we inherited from the past. We will not, as a generation, surrender because Mr. Biya is brutal. We will not, as a generation, give up our goddamn right to live in the country of our birth because of the complicity of the international system, the utter silence of the United Nations. We will not, as a people who have suffered humiliation, tribulations, nuisance, deprivation, give up our right to exist, to be able to live in our families because the world has gone mad. We will not, as a people, give up because we know all those who have fallen fell for a reason, that their blood wasn't spilled in vain. We will not, Ambazonians, ever again coexist with the people who treat us as slaves in the land of our birth, exploit our own resources to build a large army that is going to come to kill our women, murder Mami Api in our own house. We will never again surrender because they put a bounty on our head. Because for the past 56 years of our existence, we've lived as slaves in the land of our birth. We will never again surrender in the face of the tragedies that bequeath Kwakwa, the burning of places in Manfe, the robbery that has taken place in our cities. We will never again stand by and watch our women, our girls raped, our educational system turn into a liability. We will never again, as a people, give away our right to live in the land of our birth, build communities, develop our own system, succeed and fail as a people. We have our quarrels, we have our internal strives, but we know we will work together for a better Ambazonia. It is not us. Ambalanders, Ambazonia is your last refuge. You give it away, you have no homeland. You have to rise up. Despite the tragedies we face, the difficulties of the moment are only testing us, testing our resolve. You are the bravest. You are the brightest. Ambazonia shall be free in our lifetime. We will have something we've never had in our existence. A country to call our own. A nationality to be proud of. A history we can give to the next generation with pride. Hoping to God Almighty they are going to protect it for the next. God bless you all. Good night.